I'm Homer Knott from 6 Mile Creek in Tampa, Florida. And one time back in the 70s, I was sitting there in Ethel's bar, and I was pretty smart in school, and I had heard a joke, and I thought it was pretty funny. So I told it, but nobody else in the bar got it. But it was about this lake. This lake had 3 kingdoms around the lake, and there was an island in the middle of the lake. And those 3 kingdoms had been fighting over that lake, over that island forever. And so finally, the kings of the 3 kingdoms decided that they were going to have a big battle and going to decide once and for all who that island belonged to. Well, the first kingdom was a very wealthy kingdom. And so the king, he sent 25 of his best knights, and each knight had 3 squires. And they got there to their camp on the side of the lake, and the knights spent the whole day sharpening all their swords and getting all their weapons ready. And when it became time, nightfall, they started partying and drinking and carrying on. And their squires polished up their armor and cooked dinner for them and served them all the alcohol. The second kingdom, they weren't quite as wealthy, and so that king only sent 10 knights, and each knight had 2 squires. But they did the same thing. The knights all spent most of the day sharpening their swords and getting all their weapons ready and just generally getting ready. And the squires spent the day polishing up their armor and cooking. And then that night, they all got drunk and carried on and just, had a good time. The third kingdom, which was very, very poor, that king, all he could send was one old guy. And he was an elderly old guy. And that was, the best knight in the country. And he had his only one personal squire. So that night he sat down and he sharpened up his sword and his jousting pole and got himself ready. And while he was doing that, his squire went and tied some loops around a handle on a pot and threw it over a tree limb and hung it over a fire. And he was cooking his meal for him while he was polishing his armor. And he had to lift that pot up real high, though, so to make sure that no animals got it or anything while it was cooking, because there weren't any other squires or anybody there to look out for his pot. The other knights and squires all had other people there, so they could split the work up. So anyway, this all happened, and the next day, the first 2 kingdoms, they had just partied so much and everything, they were all so hungover, they couldn't even fight at all. None of the knights could, and the squires were just barely able to get up and walk around. And the third kingdom that was so poor, that squire, he was tired from doing everything he had done, but he couldn't even wake up his night. So all the squires decided they were going to get together and just go out there and fight. And so they did, and they battled all day, and they just kept fighting and battled on right up until sundown. Right around sundown, the battle was over, and one lone person came out of that battle. And it happened to be the squire for the poorest kingdom, which just goes to show you that the squire of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squires of the other 2 sides. Nobody else in Ethel's bar got that, though. I don't understand it.